Hello and welcome to Indo World Cup Daily. Well, just 2 days to go now until Ireland's World Cup opener against Australia in Sydney. Dave Kelly is in Brisbane, as it seems like you've been there for months, Dave. At this stage, what is the latest from the Ireland camp? Tell us.
Yeah, well, nothing today. They're training later on this evening, so hopefully there'll be a bit more work for Denise O'Sullivan. That's the main thing, that she does a bit more contact work. You'll see the pictures spotting out of that later and a bit of film. So that's all the update. Really, we spoke, as we said yesterday, to a few of the players, and it's just the building anticipation after all that farrago at the weekend. There's a sense that, okay, the business is starting now. We've just been up. There's only a couple of us left here in Brisbane. Most people have headed to Sydney. Irish team are heading later. I suppose we're being. You can just see the hotel is here, actually, here across from me. I suppose we're being diligent to the last, keeping an eye on the team. And making sure everything is okay. They're going to head up in the morning, and so will we. And then the pre-match stuff starts. That's when kind of the real FIFA big beasts take over, and it gets kind of really serious.
So sorry, you won't hear from Vera again now until tomorrow. So we won't have any other kind of update on the latest on Denise.
No, we expect probably just maybe a brief cursory email missive to make sure everything's okay. And I'm sure even if it wasn't, they're not going to reveal all their secrets on the only a couple of days out from the huge game. So pretty much the same. We were just in the Australian camp up at the Queensland Athletic Centre, somewhere you'd appreciate. A wonderful, wonderful venue, multi-purpose. Their version of Abbottstown, but sleeker, you can imagine. Yeah, Tamika Yallop is there, kind of bigged out. She kind of went off injured on Friday, the friendly against France. Doesn't look great for her, but again, they're kind of keeping their cards close to their chest up there. But they were more revealing, almost inadvertently. One of the veterans of the team was speaking to us, talking about Cathy Freeman actually visiting the camp on last week, Wednesday, I think it was, when they were in Melbourne, before the game in Marvel Stadium. Cathy Freeman, of course, an iconic figure, the first Aboriginal gold medal winner for Australia at the Olympics in that 400 meters. I think she won a silver in Atlanta, but 2000 was just that, just an iconic moment for Australian sport, really, and obviously for women's sport here. And it was a global event. I mean, we all remember it. I'm sure you do as well, being a big athletics fan. And she doesn't do much kind of public speaking at all. I know she's written a few children's books and that, but like, she wouldn't be a very omnipresent figure in terms of putting her name around or being kind of a quasi-celebrity in retirement. So it was quite an event. What they did was they showed a YouTube video in the team room of about 3 minutes, just of her just her great moments, culminating in that Sydney win in Homebush, where we'll be playing on Thursday. And then the lights dimmed in the room, and there was a lot of emotion, as you can imagine. And then when the lights went back on, Cathy Freeman was standing in front of them. It sounds kind of, really kind of an amazing thing to happen. So the emotion multiplied then. And, there were a lot of messages then just about, like, you guys, I was just one person. You guys are all individuals, but you have a team. And just, again, in terms of the build up here, as I said, you haven't got it in Brisbane, but in Sydney, colleagues are there. In Sydney, you can really feel it, that, the nation support should not be a burden. It's a comfort. It's something to kind of lift you up and embrace you and help you and comfort you, not smother you. So that's a huge kind of narrative ahead of Thursday. And Sam Kerr, of course, is superstar goal scorer for Chelsea. I mean, she's just look, she is the figure. I mean, you open every magazine here, you can imagine all the glossy magazines, the websites, the TV features. I mean, she is the equivalent of Katie McCabe. She is the superstar, the global superstar of this team. They have a few, obviously, Caitlin Ford, Steph Catley, but like Sam Kerr is the girl. And, you can imagine that there is a huge amount of pressure on her shoulders. But, I think the sense from the Australian team this week, and Tony Gustafsson, the manager, seems to be a fairly breezy presence is that, don't bring it all on your shoulders. Use each other and help each other. And, it's kind of akin to the Irish approach as well, that they use that team spirit they forged in adversity and in good times. And it's not an individual thing. It's not all about Katie or Denise O'Sullivan's fitness, or relying on a goalkeeper or relying on a super sub striker. It's the whole team.
Yeah, and I've been thinking a lot about Cathy Freeman over the last week and equating to her to where someone like Sam Kerr is, because I remember back in Sydney 2000, she was even part of the opening ceremony, Cathy Freeman. The pressure on her was insane. And I think when she finally got over that line, when she won the 400 meters, it was more out of relief than anything. So I think even since then, I mean, the pressure is such on the Matildas that it's almost like that, but that it will be kind of good advice to them, as you say, that they're a team now and that they can all share that burden kind of together. Dave, let's just quickly look at the tactical lineups. Like, where do you see, because there'll be so much now kind of going on tomorrow on the eve of the opener. Talk to me about that and what way you see this Ireland team lining out against the Matildas.
Yeah, in the presumption, I mean, I'm presuming Denise O'Sullivan is going to be okay. We only saw 50 minutes of training yesterday, so and as I alluded to at the weekend, if she doesn't, I think the team could even be a more conservative 4-5-1. They like to say 3-5-2, but it's really a 4-5-1. And they'll be in a low block. They're basically going to try and stop Australia getting behind, because that's what Sam Kerr likes to do. It's also, if she drops short, what Caitlin Ford likes to do. They've that pace of Rasso and Vine, especially Vine on the left, just blistering pace. And then they have the overlapping fullbacks as well, with Catley and Carpenter. I'm guessing will start left and right. And it's just relentless pace under transition. Again, we're not going to be pressing forward that much, so I don't know if their counter-attacking game would be key. So an interesting thing, if we do the low block and defending in huge numbers is the way. What creativity do Australia have? I mean, it might require Ford to drop even deeper. And, I didn't see much kind of in terms of guile. I saw quick passing, penetrative passing on the counter, quick breaks, 1-2 passing, and like in 3 passes getting 60, 70 meters up the field. But in terms of if we are sitting back and allowing them to play, can they pick a pass? That would be kind of interesting. Could be a bit of a stalemate if that progresses. And that I see are the tactics. And otherwise, I mean, Ireland will struggle. They're not a possession team, and they will rely on countering themselves. And they do have that counter threat with Carusa holding up and getting Katie McCabe on left and Heather Payne on the right, attacking. But I expect Australia to be dominant, and it's Ireland taking rare chances and defending for their lives.
And Dave, I suppose the closer we're getting to the game, the more I'm kind of really beginning to wonder how they really are going to handle the pressure. And I know this is something that's been drifting around for the last, since we found out it was going to be Australia, that they will be playing in the opening game. I mean, it's, what a way to make an entrance. From what you know of the team, and you've been around them for so long, how do you expect them to handle it? Because this is like nothing they'll ever have been part of before.
How Ireland will cope.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, they talk a lot about the fact that they have risen to the occasion. I mean, if you just pick a few examples, Sweden away, and Sweden were purportedly a formidable team, and they looked very ordinary and were made to look rather ordinary, again, by an Irish team in a low block defending in numbers, but Sweden couldn't break them down. They weren't a very, very quick team, kind of a bit like France, an inferior version of France, really, that we saw a month ago. Ireland rose to that occasion, got a deserved draw, went to Finland and also got a crucial win, guaranteeing a playoff. They went to Slovakia, different task, Colombia-esque, a lot of kicking and scratching and gouging in that one, but kind of held their own and didn't respond. I mean, they conceded the least fouls in qualifying, and then they got to Hampden at very short notice. Again, away, not being able to bring many fans. They rise to that occasion as well, get the win there. So, I mean, when they're asked big questions, they've never played in a crowd like this at a host at the host venue, 82,500 people. But there'll be 4,000, I think, traveling here. There'll be a few more expats. There's quite a few in Australia, as we know, from the Irish community. So I mean, they'll have that little pocket of support, and like there's no pressure on them. You know, nobody expects them to do anything here. Nobody probably outside of their group expected them to get here. So you know, they have a sense of freedom within whatever, you know, restrictions they have or limitations they have, playing wise or talent wise. It's just the freedom to go for it. So I mean, that sense of liberation, this is where they want to be. So I don't think it's going to cow them. They don't want to forget this moment. They want to live in this moment and embrace it. And they've shown they can embrace moments before. They don't collapse under pressure, and that's what they'll be thriving on, and hoping to maybe counter and put Australia under pressure and like, go, you're the host, guys. You know, what have you got?
Yeah. If there was somebody that would, you know, a player that you imagine will score that first World Cup goal for Ireland at a Women's World Cup, I mean, it really is, it's something to almost look forward to, in the hope that it happens. But like, who do you think is the best place to do that?
Well, like there's kind of, you know, there's a number of candidates. I mean, obviously the set piece scenario is the obvious one. Say like I don't know, a 30-yard thunderbolt, left-footed thunderbolt from Katie either side of the box, which she has proved capable of doing before, or possibly, you know, from maybe a counter, you win a corner. You've got, you know, Louise Quinn, I think, on 15 goals at the moment. That Blessington kind of noggin banging a header to the goal, and then if you know, especially if it's a league goal, you're hanging on for dear life, and why not? And then of course you got, you know, the super sub Amber herself, Amber Barrett, who did it in Hampden, and most of her goals come from the bench. She's another option. Yeah, I mean, there are goals in this team, and Denise O'Sullivan is obviously the second highest goal scorer in the qualifying campaign. I think it's 14-13. Katie's 14 or 13-12, and you know, Denise can put them away as well. So you know, there are goals in this team. They don't always come from the striker. We know that. They're not a prolific team, but you know, the goals they get are vital goals, and all they need is one.
Yeah, well, we will check in with you tomorrow. You're going to make the trip up to, or the trip to Sydney, Dave. So it'll make it feel even more real than for you as well, this World Cup.
Yeah, it's Sydney early in the morning, and like Sydney is where it's kind of even now buzzing. Brisbane, apart from the Ibis, the city is still asleep here. They've no idea what's going on, but they will by game 3 when Ireland come here and it's invaded. But yeah, Sydney is where it's happening tomorrow, and we'll see you then.
Great, thanks, Dave.